Well, this is an interesting twist in the tale. Resi 7 actually came to everybody's door and offered the additional storyline featuring Chris Redfield, not a hero, for free to all players. Astonishing to come from the industry, I know! I think the reason that this happened was because Not a Hero apparently wasn't hitting normal goals, and it wasn't being developed by Capcom properly. It was coming from one of their third parties on this project, Hexadrive, I believe, from looking at Wikipedia. I suppose you could call that somewhat of a dick move that Capcom put it up for free so that Hexadrive couldn't get paid for their work, but hopefully Capcom didn't at least stiff them on their fees for helping make one of the better modern Resi games. If they did, at least the indie market is still faring pretty well if they needed a backup plan. So, Not a Hero then. Like I said, the game follows Chris Redfield, and since Chris was only introduced into Resi 7 when the final boss was dealt with, logically this is going to be a bit of content focusing on the epilogue of Resi 7, now that new Umbrella has been called in to sort out the Evelyn nonsense. Now that Evelyn's kind of gone, though it seems that the only one left who could be a leak for the virus to escape from all of this is Lucas, who got out of this whole mess pretty much unscathed, believe it or not. While being muscled like a popsicle stick, Lucas took the smart option and booked it before Chris even had the most remote of chances to catch this crackhead. Lucas decided to get out of Dodge through an old salt mine that was near the Baker homestead because potatoes. However, considering that Lucas ran here to escape from Chris, it should be noted to him of massive obviousness that Lucas had pre-set up this entire mine for ridiculous booby traps. Chris gets there and there's a massive digging apparatus blocking the way forward, a keyhole to open it, and 3 colored shutters. Yep, Chris is going on a little bit of a Zelda-style dungeon 'em up through stupidly unnecessary death traps to find keys, open doors, and save absolutely no one. And to make matters worse, somehow, beyond all logic, Lucas actually had the opportunity to strap a neck brace bomb onto Chris's hand that he has full control of. So now Chris has to contend with his life being possibly ended at any moment, and he has to bash his way through as many molded as he can to get those well-needed keys to progress. While it's not exactly like one of his trap-laden getaways in the main game, Lucas does go all out on a couple of occasions, even excluding the whole neck bomb business, to kind of get that sort of thing back in this DLC for freeze. 2 examples being that trick he did when he pulled the key up from where he had left it, complete with sign and arrow, before he let a gang of molded descend on Chris, also landmines, because hell, that was fun. The second one was more insidious, and that was the Trip Mine Triumphant, where Chris was forced to strategically crouch through a dizzying amount of trip mine strings and up to his dead friend, all the while Lucas knowingly booby-trapped his injured friend so that if you didn't know about that beforehand, saving your colleague would leave you flaming dead. And even if you finished the puzzle correctly, Lucas just killed him for fun because fuck you. Well, those were the high points. The lowest one was definitely the new enemy Hexadrive introduced into the game, and that was the White Molded, a special breed of the jerks who could only be killed with special acidic ammunition. The problem was that Hexadrive forgot to include a reasonable number of resources and rounds throughout the game so that you could fight off the White Molded. Since that quickly becomes impossible, especially in the poison part of the maze, you basically have to run through and hope for the best, which isn't a great gambit due to the whole first-person thing. Thankfully, health is actually pretty easy to come by, since there aren't actually a ton of enemies in this DLC, so you're pretty much fine either way. Hexadrive even tried to emulate the main game by offering those permanent upgrades to players who found copper coins, but the DLC is so freaking short, and the enemies are actually kind of passive, that you honestly don't need them. But hey, Hexadrive is offering them at a discount, so why the hell not take them? While the puzzles are kind of lacking, the interesting level design and maze-like shutters and this whole dungeon setup that you find yourself in do make for quite an engaging take on a salt mine, Metroidvania, Zelda dungeon sort of mashup doohickey that I guess Lucas was going for it and screwing over Chris Redfield this freaking hard. Perhaps the poison part of the maze was a bit much, but that's all I could say for the negatives. Other than that, the DLC is pretty straightforward in pushing Chris to solve the 3 shuttered puzzles, and then move on with the clown key in hand to open the final door and get closer to the liquid nitrogen he needs to freeze off his bomb and find Lucas. Of course, this being resident freaking evil, you didn't think it would be that easy as just going around the next corner to actually find it. No, you have to fight Blobby Man, the boss man tasked with protecting the cache of liquid nitrogen. This fight is actually kind of annoying, since it's a boss not to be taken lightly, and he just loves to spit out not only henchman flies that constantly pester you, but also the usual vomit attack that the blobby men like to employ. The other issue is that the game hasn't exactly been stocking you up for legitimate boss fights, meaning that even though the boss has a ton of health, you aren't afforded the same luxury and have to flit around the battlefield and all over the center truck thing, gathering whatever you can and hope that you don't take enough cheap shots to bow out of the conflict before you have all the bullets in hand. It'll take a while, but if you keep up on your game, you'll be perfectly fine to get the icy prize after you beat the damn thing up. Once that's completed, Lucas begins running out of tricks, since that's usually how these sort of things go, and the attempt to bury you alive under a powerful tyrant sort of failed. Lucas is finally backed into a corner, and you know what that means in a Resi game. Yep, Lucas infects himself with the Evelyn virus and becomes a thing. Let's just call it that. Unfortunately, becoming a thing didn't exactly help with the whole combat strategy thing that he has a problem with. Plus, the arena gives you a lot more resources to have some chance at whittling Mutant Lucas's health bar down and finishing this fight. What I distinctly remember about fighting Lucas was him constantly hopping over a shipping container, and since Lucas didn't have any effective attacks while on top of the box, it was quite easy for a lot of the fight to walk around the whole thing and take pot shots when he either wasn't looking or couldn't do anything about Chris. I remember scrabbling for bullets and the odd health pack being used to keep myself a truckin', but that point of difficulty had more to do with Hexadrive not being that good at balancing the DLC's difficulty, rather than Lucas having any sort of legitimate difficulty and being an Ornstein-looking motherfucker. Now that Lucas is finally dead, the final link in the chain of the Evelyn experiment seems to have gone down, and New Umbrella can finally start containing this whole outbreak. Of course, Umbrella and containing outbreaks has never gone over well, so let's just hope for the freaking best that New Umbrella can handle this. I thought that this free DLC pack was pretty well done. They gave us some nice challenges, an interesting location, a good epilogue to go with the solid main game, and while the game could do with some more resources being peppered throughout, some rebalancing, and probably some more signposting in this twist-filled area of the DLC, Hexadrive came at this with a good concept and understanding of the characters and being able to show all that through interesting gameplay scenes and the plot turns. It's not the first game that ever done it, but the Trip Mine Trap was definitely a cool idea. Kinda wish there were more highlighted puzzles throughout, but hey, we got this all for free and it's a damn good time. It actually makes some good use out of Chris that the game used simply as a fan service cameo. I'll be discussing this in a later video, but the fact that Not a Hero came out for free, being mainly built by a third-party developer and was given away for free, makes Not a Hero the extra good campaign, while the bad idea that was cobbled together by Capcom and asked you for an additional price is going to make The End of Zoe the super bad DLC. I figured it would be worth mentioning in this video just to show you what kind of quality requirements are made by Capcom and what they deem worthy of charging for or not. Bottom line, Not a Hero is a great addition to the main game. Go do it right now if you own a copy of Resident Evil 7.